Hi, I'm Doug from Dynamic Computing, and welcome to episode 175 of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. Now, a couple of months ago, I did a show on audio digitizing and audio capture. All of that was on my Amiga 1000. I'll have a link to the video right there. And I had a lot of fun with that, and I really love my digitizer. I've got one of the future sounds on my Amiga 1000. But as you know, the parallel ports on the Amiga 1000 and all other Amigas after that are reversed. And while there are ways to get gender changers to use those products on the newer Amigas, I always wanted a real standard parallel port audio digitizer. I've looked around for a while. They were always, $80 to $150. People wanted a premium for it. And considering I already had one that worked on my A1000, just never spent the money. Now, a couple of months ago, I'm browsing around eBay, as one does. I found this company called AnyRetro. AnyRetro has a store on the old eBay, and they sell quite a few Amiga-related and, in general, retro-related pieces of hardware. They've got some stuff for the Commodore 64, too. I'll have a link to them right in the description. But they were selling this thing called the Technosound stereo sound sampler for the Amiga. I thought, okay, that almost sounds a little familiar, but they said it was new. Well, it is, sort of. Now, this thing is based on the original Technosound from back in the late 80s and early 90s, which was a fairly popular Amiga sound sampler. In speaking with the guy from AnyRetro, who was the original seller and creator of the Technosound in the 80s and 90s, he tells me that at one point in time they were selling tens of thousands of these audio digitizers, and it was one of the more popular ones for the Amiga. Now, here in the States, we were using the GVP audio capture devices and a couple other American ones. So this wasn't as popular in the USA, but Europe and Australia and a couple other places was pretty popular. He said that right before Commodore went bust in '94, they were in conversations with Commodore UK about bundling the Technosound sampler with all new Amiga, Amigas sold, which would have been really cool. Now, the little guy comes in a little 3D printed case, which is nice, perfectly acceptable. Now, if you look at the guts of this little guy, it'll give you the copyright dates right in the bottoms of 1990 and 2023, meaning this is a new board. Just a couple cool little IC chips there. This one is a thermodynamic transmogrifier, and this was a quantum flux inhibitor. Those are very, very important. And other than that, it's a very, very simple little audio interface, stereo. It's got 2 jacks on it. So what comes with this Technosound digitizer for $60 American? First of all, it actually comes with audio capture software called Technosound. Now, this is a slightly older version. This is version 2.7. They came out with up to version, I think it's 3.3 or something like that. And I found the newer versions. All the newer versions appeared to be in PAL. The display doesn't look right on my screen unless I switch into PAL mode. But this is a reasonable product. It's a little bit confusing to use, and I actually prefer to use the things from Aegis, the Aegis AudioMaster, version 3 and version 4. I like the interface better. It does what you needed to do without the, big fancy fluffy graphics of this. But I'll show you both so you can see what they both do. It also comes with a fairly reasonable manual that talks about the hardware of the digitizer itself, actually printed on paper. When's the last time we got an actual manual printed on paper? And also step-by-step instructions for using the included Technosound software. So that's actually really cool that it comes with a software, manual, everything you need to go. Lastly, it comes with this little adapter here. This is a RCA left and right on one end and a standard 3.5 millimeter jack on the other end. Now, let me explain the problems I had with mine when I first got it in. So I got it in March, a little while before I left for China. And I had some time to play around with it. Hooked it up to my Amiga 1200, fantastic. Hooked up my little converter that comes with it, diddly-do, right there. No problem at all. I thought, let me capture some stuff with my phone. So I hooked my phone up into this. I used my USB-C to 3.5 adapter. Plays beautifully on speakers. Hooked this up to the Digitizer. Went to record a little bit of audio coming out of my phone. Hot, stinking garbage. This thing was so distorted that it was almost to the point of being useless. Here's a little clip of it right here. Change the sample up to about 38,000, and we're going in mono, and we want to see how it sounds, if there's any difference in the distortion when it captures it. So you can hear crackly, poppy, staticky. It's like, that's not right, because I've recorded from my phone onto my Amiga 1000 plenty of times. Works fine. I play a song with through the phone and hook it up to there, record the song, whatever, works fine with an adapter like this. So then I thought, okay, maybe it's my phone. I had a new phone. So I hooked it up to my PC, to my audio out of my PC. Just speaker out, no problem at all. Plugged it into the adapter. Hot, stinking garbage. Crackly, garbly, useless. I have a bad audio capture card because, again, my Amiga 1000 one works fine. Get a hold of Jonathan, the guy who runs the eBay store. He was very, very, very supportive. And he says, you know, I test them all, but maybe you got a bad one. Ship it back, I'll ship you a new one. A week later, I get a new one. Fine. Test it out. Got the same garble. Not quite as bad, but bad enough. I thought, you know, am I doing something wrong? And you know, it's an audio digitizer. Tested it on my Amiga 1200. Tested it on my Amiga 4000. Tested it on my Amiga 600. Same things. Anytime I went to capture, and trust me, I suspected this converter, so I tried 2 or 3 different converters. I've got multiple converters, no big deal at all. Some of them have a positive end on it, go directly into the speaker out of my device, no kind of adapters required. Never worked good capturing from computer, capturing from phone, capturing from my microphone, which let me show you what that is. I've got an eBerry microphone. I used this a little bit when I first started my channel. I don't use it very much at all. But this has, it's a decent one. It's an actual XLR jack on there. But this connector here has a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, and it has a USB power supply. So I hooked it up, USB power supply, no problem at all. Hooked this up, went to record. Hot, stinking, crackly garbage. What on earth is going on here? So I start thinking, let me try a different source. Let me try something a little different. So I took my CD32, and I put an audio disc in there, and I took the RCA jacks direct from the CD32, direct into the Technosound. Flawless. Beautiful, sharp, incredible quality. Wait a second, what's going on here? I've used adapters and converters all my life. They generally work okay, you know, it's always better if you go direct. But I captured direct from RCA, absolutely flawless. Capture again through any of my multiple adapters that I use on other devices, garbly. So the trick I found is this device, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I can't figure it out. I'm going to get back in touch with Jonathan again about it. It only likes to capture from direct RCA audio sources, no adapters. Doesn't make a lick of sense to me at all. But let me show you the solution that I've come up with. Just so we know what we're working with here, I'm back on my Amiga 500 today. Look, there's my cute little Amiga 600 sitting right underneath. This is a 68,000 base machine, of course, but it's a 68,000 21 megahertz because it's got the ACA 500 Plus running on here, which is fantastic. Now, the ACA 500 Plus, I did a review on it there. I really am due to update that review, but it allows me to boot into any version of Workbench that I own a Kickstart for, because it'll soft kick it. So we're Workbench 3.2.2 on here, running at 21 megahertz with 7 megs of fast RAM and 2 megabytes of chip RAM. Of course, you've got your Technosound sound sampler plugged right in there. Ignore the DC TV in the background. That's for a future video I'm working on. And you'll notice I have 2 RCA plugs plugged in here, leading over to my sound mixer. Now these are about maybe an $80 or $90 sound mixer. The cool thing is you can take audio from the Amiga, which I've done, just the left and right audio, pump it right through the sound mixer. This will control the balance for that particular channel. So I can control the Amiga audio here. I have a couple of other inputs here, and I've got my output that goes to my nice speakers that Scooby gave to me, which are very nice. I love them. The cool thing about this is it has an auxiliary output. So I can have this auxiliary output going through my mixer and then going directly in to my digitizer. So it's getting real RCA input instead of going through some kind of converter. So this microphone that I was telling you about a little bit ago that we're going to do some experiments with, that's going right into the mic input on the mixer. And you can get cheaper mixers too. There's a couple of them that are good. Just get one with RCA. And then this is connected to USB power. Just a brief side note, when you're capturing audio or doing anything with audio video, with something like a mixer like I'm using right there, sometimes you'll find you get some hum on your speakers when it's going through something like a mixer or even through an Amiga, something like that. You're going to get this little hum in the background. And what that often is AC, it's a loopback hum caused by a grounding fault. And how do those grounding faults happen? Well, you have all these electronic devices like the Amiga, your speakers, the microphone, the mixing board. All of those are plugged into AC power. And they could be plugged into different AC ports around your office. Maybe you've got a surge protector over here that's got the Amiga and your speakers on it. You've got a setup surge protector over here that has your microphone or your other audio input and your mixer board on it. What happens is you get some crosstalk from those 2 different AC grounds. It never quite grounds itself out properly because the devices are connected together, 2 different outlets, 2 different grounding, they get all confused. The solution to get rid of that hum, make sure anything you're dealing with audio is plugged into the same surge protector. If you can get one of the EMI filtered surge protectors, you can get even better audio. Just make sure they're all plugged into the same set of outlets. Your microphone power, your speaker power, your Amiga power, your power for your mixing board. Same surge strip, all right? Then you're dealing with one set of grounding from that outlet, and the hum goes away. And it's a very noticeable hum in the background. Do that, makes your audio captures even better. Now we're going to be capturing live on the screen instead of going through my capture card, just because I'm going to be moving back and forth and showing you some audio stuff too. Our first program we're going to look at is the one that's included, which is called Technosound. And again, it's a good package. I don't mind it. It's just a little fluffy and cluttered for my taste. I like something a little simpler when I'm just doing work, when I'm just capturing stuff. I don't need all the frou-frou. But it's really not bad here. Here it tells you if the audio filter is on or off, how many bits per pixels it's capturing, what your sample time is, depending on the amount of memory you have. This is in seconds. You have control right here over capturing the audio. This will start the capture. So if I click this and left button to start recording, So we're going to record a few seconds of audio here and see how it sounds. I have the gain turned up a little bit on the microphone so it'll capture a little bit better. Now I had the volume turned up pretty high there, so we're getting a little bit of background noise, but I want to make sure that my lapel mic captures that. So standard audio capture works fine. You can switch to stereo or mono by hitting this here. Here's stereo, here's mono. You can see how when we switch to mono, it just about doubles the amount of capture time. You can turn your filter on and off. Let's try it in mono with the filter on. We'll do a quick recording. This time we're going to be capturing in mono, and we're going to see how that sounds compared to where we were before.
I have the gain turned up a little bit on the microphone.
This I was not expecting. Wonder why it did that. I have a demon in my computer. Now just for laughs, what happened there is I'd recorded the first time in stereo, then I switched to mono, but I did not clear out my actual first recording. So then it re-recorded over the beginning of it in mono, and then it had converted that stereo thing to mono and it changed the pitch, and it made me sound like a demon on the last half of the recording there. Too funny. Now what we really wanted to prevent that is release the memory with that little button right down there, and that clears out the display and clears out the recording. And again, that's part of the reason I don't like this, is it's not as clear and concise as some of the others. We can record in 4-bit audio, which sounds horrible. We can increase our hertz here. So let's go up to the full what this little guy supports, which is about 44,000 hertz. There, that's good enough. Now we're going to try recording again. We're in mono, and this should give us a higher quality audio. This time we've bumped up the frequency of our capture to about 44,000 hertz. We're still in mono, but in theory it should give us a much higher quality audio signal. Let's see how it sounds.
This time we've bumped up the frequency of our capture to about 40,000
Again,
hertz.
not what I'm looking for.
Still in mono, but in
I like it. I can't say I don't like it, but not what I'm looking for. Let's see what we did wrong here. Now, strangely enough, when I record past about 20,000 hertz using Technosound, it distorts my recordings, which is really weird because it does not do it in the next program that we're going to be looking at, which is AudioMaster. So now you may see a little bit what I'm talking about when I talk about Technosound. There's something just not right about it. It crashes a lot more than AudioMaster does. And it just doesn't control the right way. I mean, you go to record a new audio clip and it re-records over an old one partly and mixes the two together. You go to adjust the frequency of the recording and it distorts your audio even on a brand new recording. That's not right. Audio recorders on Amigas, you want to set it to 44,000 hertz to record? Fine, it records it at 44,000 hertz. Fine. This one, I'm adjusting the slider, and as soon as I go past 20,000 hertz, my voice gets absolutely trashed. And I spent about 10 minutes playing with this going, no, that just isn't right. That's not how these things work. It's a cool program, and maybe I'll go through it and dig through it, but not my cup of tea. Let's take a look at some of the Aegis stuff. Now I have both AudioMaster 3 and AudioMaster 4. Both of them are good programs, and AudioMaster 4 adds a few new bells and whistles, but I, for some reason, always fall back to AudioMaster 3. Look at that smooth scroll up there when it opens. It's kind of cool. Much, much, much simpler interface here. Much simpler interface. You can go in and you can choose your sampler configuration, the maximum frequencies that it handles, and then you're just ready to record. So for example, we want to do another little recording here. I'm just going to go here to my sampler menu, I can actually change my sample rate right here. So if I want to go up to the maximum that I support it at mono, no problem at all. I can click on monitor here and listen to my beautiful sultry voice, or I can just click sample. And as soon as it hears that I'm talking, it's now recording the audio. It picks it up automatically and records the audio at a beautiful 44,000 hertz. Now let's take a listen and see how it sounds on this digitizer. It even has a much nicer waveform right here, much easier to work with. I can tell it to just play what I've displayed here. And as soon as it hears that I'm talking, it's now recording the audio. It picks it up automatically and records the audio at a beautiful 44,000 hertz. Now let's take a listen and see how it sounds on this digitizer. I think the quality of that is excellent. I actually like the quality of that better than the recordings I was getting out of Technosound. You can make adjustments, like if I want to record in stereo, no problem at all. It brings up the, we won't convert it. It brings it up with the left and the right channels, no problem at all. So when I do a recording, it'll actually record it in stereo if I have a stereo input. We're going to switch back to mono here. When you record, you can also make easy adjustments to your recordings, like I am about to do right now. So you heard there that I had some mistakes in the recording. Those were intentional. Let's play it back. When you record, you can also make easy adjustments to your recordings, like I am about to do right now. So you see at the very beginning there, I've intentionally screwed that up. So I can isolate just what I want to record, or just what I want to play back here. When you record, and then I can click range. When you record, and it only plays that part back. You can also make easy adjustments to your recordings, like I am about to do right now. When you record. So this entire front section here we can get rid of. So we can grab this part here. We can say cut. Away it goes. And now, when you record, you can also make easy adjustments to your recordings, like I am about to do right now. Not bad. You can also have a little bit of fun with this kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and do, bring this up a little bit higher here.
When you record, you can also make easy adjustments to your recordings, like I'm about to do right now.
Alvin and the Chipmunks. You can also slow that down a little bit. And there we go. Now we're going to sound demonic.
When you record, you can also make easy adjustments to your recordings, like I am about to do right now.
That's not very demonic. We need a little more demonic than that. Okay. That's taking too long. And really, really creative stuff that you can do with this. So we can see what this new digitizer based on old 1990s technology can do. I think it's awesome that the same guy that produced them back in the 90s and sold them by the tens of thousands is now selling them again. And they work fine on your Amiga. Now, what's my opinion of it? Well, I'm curious, truly curious, why whenever I use any of my 3.5 to RCA jack converters, it just sounds terrible. I just don't get it. Even with the same hardware, you know, I can use my microphone. Sounds horrible when I record it if I go directly into it. But if I go through my mixer, or if I go through a CD with real RCA jacks, sounds absolutely glorious. It's weird. But as long as you understand that limitation, it's not a big deal to bypass it. You know, you can get ways to actually plug RCA connectors in there from most of your devices. So it's not difficult as long as you understand the limitation. The Technosound program, well, it's interesting. I had a little bit of fun playing with it when I originally played with it a few months ago. I had a little bit of fun, but every time I'd use it, I would think, yeah, but AudioMaster is 10 times easier without all the confusion and all the fancy stuff. and it actually works. And I always find myself going back to AudioMaster. I guess it's just what I'm used to. Maybe you'll like Technosound. There's a lot of stuff that it can do that I didn't even touch on. Do I think this is worth getting? Absolutely, absolutely. We still have reasons to capture audio on our Amigas to this day. If you want to make Amiga games and you want to digitize audio, of course we can capture it on our PC and bring it over to the Amiga. It's simple to do. It's child's play to do. But if you want the authentic, created 100% on the Amiga experience, actually digitizing it on your Amiga, that adds a bit of charm to it for sure. Now, recording to an Amiga is based on the amount of RAM that you have. Yes, there are a couple of solutions out there that will record directly to hard drive, and I've played with a few of them and they're interesting. But in general, it's based on how much RAM you have. On my Amiga 1000 with 128 megs of RAM, I can record for probably 30-40 minutes. One idea that I've had is actually doing a podcast occasionally, like a 10-minute podcast, nothing more than 10 minutes, and doing the actual full recording on actual Amiga hardware. I always thought that would be kind of cool. If I hook this digitizer up to my Amiga 1200 with my PiStorm on it, with its 300-400 megabytes of RAM, I've got hours worth of recording there at really nice 44K 8-bit quality. Perfectly fine. You can do a full podcast on there. No big deal at all. I would love to hear your advice on what you think is going on with why it always records distorted when I go through any of my converters at all, but only on this device. Maybe it's a grounding fault in this device. I'm not sure, but if you got ideas, let me know.
Huge thanks to my wonderful patrons who really don't mind me sounding like a Smurf. Now, if you'd like to join in on the Smurfy fun of my Patreon page, pop on over to patreon.com/10mark for more information. And excuse me, I see Smurfette over in the corner there. I think I'm going to go buy her a drink.
Thanks for joining me today on this quick little overview of a nice little audio digitizer, which I recommend you take a look at. Please subscribe to the channel if you've not done so yet. We're going to hit 8,000 subscribers before we knew it. We're well on our way to 10,000. Please also like, and I love to hear your comments below. Comment on how you used an audio digitizer back in the day and the kind of fun things you did with it, because I'd like to experiment with them too. But until next time, well, let's let him do the talking.
Till next time, this is Doug.